Guys, this is hilarious, and I don't mind doing this, but you're in black and white.
We're not in color. We're color. It couldn't be any more color.
No.
No, now we're not black and white, are we? On our screen,
I think it's a great tone.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
perfect.
it works well, you guys.
You're broadcasting through
we
time.
grew up with the old black and white movies.
Yeah, no, you have color. It's just
Orange color.
Yeah, the cup is the cup. The cup's in color, but you guys are in black and white.
They're pulling a Sin
like that-
City on us.
Like
Yeah,
that
I was
scene
going to
in
say WandaVision, but same.
List.
Yeah. Oh my god.
What's the significance of the cup?
Real fashion, we like that.
And that's the irony, because this was our first episode in color, where the film is in color.
The thing from Venice?
I think it's Venus.
What the heck is a Venus?
Zontar should have won the Academy Award. I mean,
It should have.
probably the best film in 1967.
This is Richie. Acknowledge.
You're not Richie. Richie's blue.
Do you realize Zontar was filmed in 16 millimeter and it cost a budget of $22,000, and the filming dates are listed as February 19th, 1967, only this one day. So they probably filmed it in 3 days.
Wow.
It exploded in its own orbit.
Anyone know why?
No.
Wrong. I do. It was a warning.
Telegraph Theater presents Hands on Hits.
To keep us incommunicado until we're further advanced.
If you think about it, I never deconstructed it in this way until this viewing, but when you think about it, there's shots inside people's homes, and just two people's homes, which in reality could have been the same house for all we know. But there were shots inside someone's house. And then there was the installation, right? And that was just basically one room with a hallway. Everything else was outside in a field or in the forest or in a cave.
I've come here to kill you.
Zontar, are you there?
Marco? Polo.
Outside
even the base, where the exterior of the base looks like a completely stolen shot, where they've got the chain link fence. Looks like that was the real sign. That like "Do Not Trespass" sign was like the sign. And I've seen that location in other movies where they probably just drove up to a radio tower, local radio tower, and just used the edge of it. Yeah, this easily could have been filmed very, very inexpensively.
Man, Disneyland is getting so strict these days.
How long is the line for Peter Pan?
One of the worst movies I've seen.
Kurt, what's that?
A cheap ripoff of the Star Trek episode Operation Annihilate.
Dan has that great line when the film first opens, and it's the production company is called American International.
American International! It never gets old.
Yeah, we used to go to the movies when we were kids and watch the American International movies.
They did make some good films.
They made a few, fun films.
So
Vincent
Price.
Later on, they did the Vincent Price Poe films, and those are higher quality.
Full suit, desert, on a bike.
What our show was intended to be, and Dan can attest to this, and was through the first 5 episodes, through this one episode, completely changed what our show was.
That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. I didn't make the robot. It's not mine.
What?
I don't even know where it came from.
And don't look at me. I'm not 100% sure of where I even am right now.
The entire tone of the entire show changed. It changed from a bunch of normal kind of misfit losers in a basement, which was the original idea, to we can do anything we want. Now there's aliens coming.
Exterminate. I mean, Zontar? Zontar.
I guess
it was like Iron Man to Iron Man 2.
Yes. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Say why.
I knew Kurt wouldn't panic. Nothing quite like a logical, orderly, scientific mind.
For me to poop on.
This also was the Matthew's first episode.
Oh, thanks for putting me on the grass. I'm getting a great tan over here.
When we got to Zontar,
you said it definitely won't affect the next 10 years of your life.
Right.
I remember you saying
that. Yeah, it would definitely won't affect 10 years.
Kurt is still at large. He was here and he...
To make a long story short, he might quit our crochet class.
I see. You heard.
Right. We could be more whimsical, right? So we went to the Pee-wee's Playhouse type thing where we really opened it up for ourselves where we can do anything. And I think that's where we really began to really nail down like Dan's storyline.
Hey guys, check it out. I just made 20 bucks. Some guys bought that entire box of ham dingers.
And began to think about what really happened to the old TV station, and began to kind of put a deeper thread into it.
I remember that channel. My cousin worked there. Didn't it burn down 5 years ago?
So we got more whimsical, and then we also had like a deeper base for it, which was, to me, is like we could do this for a long time.
I can't believe you guys sold Duffy at the garage sale. And I can't believe that I can't believe that.
But how was I supposed to know that he was in the box?
The first scene that Prospector Pete was filmed for Rabbit Ears was that long, crazy monologue about going to the restaurant with...
The name of the place is Dirty Jennifer's, and it's all lit up in big blue, purple, garish lights.
Me and Wyatt sitting there. That was my introduction to Rabbit Ears and to Prospector Pete.
and the seats are all scaly and mushy, and the sofas are less than silky. But
Wyatt's expression sitting next to me, and Jeff hoping that people wouldn't break up laughing, and we did it all in one take. And I got an applause after the take. And that was the only time it happened to me in making a film.
The atmosphere was embarrassing nonetheless.
Shannon's first day on set, which now thinking back was kind of ridiculous, her entire job was holding the Rabbit Ears.
I have pictures of that, by the way.
Yeah.
I'll get some on.
It's great that they have matching husband and wife bongs.
I will say that Zontar as a whole is for me, the quintessential Rabbit Ears film.
All of these things are connected. Trust us.
Does anyone else hear that cat dying noise?
It's in a time capsule.
Telegraphed Emotional Theater presents Troubled.
It's hokey.
This is an 8-track tape machine. Bask in its glory.
It's a powerful...
It doesn't have any point.
I'll get your coat. Wanna go make out?
Okay.
The movie that I wish I could Xerox and we could do every single week.
And has shut down the world's power and is putting the world's population under its thumb. Now, if that is true, why aren't you fighting it?
Jim and I, we know the star of we knew
John
he's
Agar.
passed away now. John Agar, the star of the film. And
I just saw you kill a friend in cold blood. Why?
Orders, Doctor. Orders.
Orders? Orders from whom?
Zontar, of course.
Dun, dun, dun.
Place you in.
he started out his career working with John Ford, one of the top directors in American film history.
Good A films.
Yeah, and doing A films, and then he went under contract to Universal, and as soon as he went under contract to Universal, his first film was Revenge of the Creature, and they said, we want you for science fiction. And he
Hobster-bat, away!
He's not doing a very good job.
Have you ever fought a hobster-bat?
No, I guess not.
Okay, just looked it up. There's no such thing as a hobster bat.
The internet is wrong.
He said, I want to do more stuff. You have Rock Hudson and Jeff Chandler. They get to do all kinds of things. And he said, we want you for science fiction.
You're talking about changes that were brought about by man himself. But Zontar isn't human. So your argument just doesn't hold water.
You know what else doesn't hold water?
Hopster bats?
Revolutions, plagues,
I was going to
and
say
wars
Civ,
have
but
also
okay.
resulted in a number of regressions.
A couple of good ones. Yeah, the next film was Tarantula. The next film was The Mole People. And he went to them and said, hey, I want to do something else. And they said, you're science fiction. He said,
all right. I'll come over.
With sticks.
But I have to do something first.
okay, let's just end the contract. And so I want to go freelance. And so he quit his contract at Universal, went freelance, and the first film was The Daughter of Dr. Jekyll. He said, here it all comes again. And
Well, that's all right, Louise. We know it wasn't anybody's fault. But be sure and get those reports to Washington tonight by scrambled transmission.
I'm just flipping switches here.
Zontar was a ripoff of an earlier American International, It Conquered the World.
Right.
Well?
We're ripping off the pilot of It Conquered the World, sir.
I just want to point out that anyone that's seen the show is having the same experience that everyone that sees the show has when they meet Tom for real. Is you've got this crazy character, Pete, and then you meet Tom and you're like, whoa, you're not Pete.
Yanks, I said.
We had fun in Reno, huh? Didn't we, Matthew? Going around.
Yeah, great time.
Can I get a tattoo of a TIE fighter sliding across a General Lee? Oh, good.
Great time having you, and like you would do anything that I asked, and we had a room full of props, and it was awesome.
My doctor always said that I should have one of these. Oh, I think you should sit here first. Oh, thank you.
Just seeing people's responses to you running up in character, to me, it's one of the most vivid memories I have of Rabbit Ears in my experience. It's so fun.
Oh, I always wanted to meet someone like you all my life. Even in high school, I couldn't, and now you're here. Oh, goody, goody, goody.
That video of Prospector Pete going through Wizard World, I would say is the quintessential behind the scenes Rabbit Ears videos. I could watch that thing just on loop all day.
Oh, have you ever been to Reno before? I have. That's where all the action is.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Rabbit Ears before? Oh, I have.
Must be an Avril Lavigne concert.
They're running to the concert?
I never said they were running to the concert.
I read one review on Zontar, and they said that the guy that played the bad guy must have been a good actor, because how could he say his name is Zontar without cracking up?
It's untranslatable into any known Earth language. It would sound something like Zontar.
Or exactly like Zontar. But it's impossible to translate.
That's right, it can't be translated.
But
impossible to say.
Stay here. Stay right here.
I like blue.
I love all the jokes about ham radio operator. Like there's just some dude.
Good. You can trace my car through the energy pulses you supplied. That will lead the injectopods to him.
You realize I'm just a ham radio operator,
He
right?
will be most...
Robot was my son Liam's idea. He wanted to make like an R2D2 type robot, but he wanted one that only worked in radioactive environments. And so it has all these radioactive colors to it and a radioactive symbol on it. And he called it A2Z2 because I guess that has to do with like nuclear fission and the nuclei splitting at one moment. They tag it A2Z2. So that was the real name of Zontar. Just some background information on that crazy robot.
Maybe its name is Zontar.
Zontar.
Hi, Zontar. I'm Dan.
So
And it's one of my favorite parts of our film too, because the Zontar, the robot, sitting there, just messing with people. The aliens come in, discover Funyuns, realize that's what humanity's all about. Dan tells them, or Dan or Wyatt says that, oh, that's just right down the street. I think Wyatt says, like, oh, there's a Lucky Mart right down the street, and that Zontar goes with them. Like, to me, it was hilarious that, like, oh, what, Funyuns? It's just like,
we will visit this Lucky Mart. Goodbye, Earthlings.
Donna, who was playing one of the aliens, I think, was it she that objected to using the term shittiest?
We are here from the planet Shittius. What?
And Dan, of all people, pipes up and he's all, I think it's really funny.
What? Shittius.
As a matter of fact, that's one of my favorite jokes in that. We are from the planet Shittius.
Oh, planet. You mean planet Shittius?
What's funny is, like, I did the same reaction. Like, as Dan's going, like, shittiest, I was, like, vocally doing the exact same thing as I watched it. I'm all, shittiest, that's a hilarious planet.
This is probably the most amazing discovery to ever be found on Earth.
But their planet's name is Shittius.
And so it was like, it's one of my favorite things that she's so serious about that. You're like, you're desecrating my planet. And you're like, shit, but it's shittiest. You're like,
Believe me, we know what we're doing.
We are using a rocket ship to beam an alien from Venus and take over the mind of a general and... Okay, we don't have any idea what we're doing.
Case in point was the lady, the old woman who reads the telegram. And I know she's not reading a telegram.
My husband is in an iron lung. Stop. What shall I do?
Did she just read a telegram?
Like she just read a telegram.
My husband is in an iron lung. Stop. What shall I do?
We also had a, like right in that same bit there's Gilbert Gottfried playing Hamlet.
Yeah.
It's Gilbert Gottfried! He's performing Hamlet!
Dylan joined the writing staff on episode 5, so this is only his second episode.
Is that a bat?
They keep laughing and laughing and referencing it to the point where I have to stop and go, no, we have to go back like 10 minutes. Obviously, what are you talking about?
It flies like a hawk. A hawk bat?
But it was all Dylan, and it was one of those instances where I've missed it, and he keeps going, and he's busting up the room.
It's a lobster with wings.
So like a hobster bat?
Yes, a hobster bat.
Yeah, it's just like Dylan. I was like, oh man.
Dylan.
Present. A hopster bat. Happy anniversary, honey.
There's one scene in Zontar, I don't remember where it was, but somebody's car stops and they can't go. Way in the background, you see cars driving along.
Vague Disappointment will be played by the amateur violinist. There's a scene where he's like attacking the hobster bat and he's got a cigarette in his hand. And he's like, he defeats the hobster bat with one hand with a cigarette. And I'm like, that's pretty impressive. But it also reminds me of Bob Fosse, because apparently he would like, he would have a cigarette and he'd be smoking a cigarette and it would just like get, follow, get it longer and longer, and he wouldn't tap it to get rid of it. And so people would be just mesmerized by his cigarette going down and just wondering when it was going to fall while he's giving all these directions. But he apparently, at least I heard of at least one story of this, would, he'd instruct people to dance, but he could also do all of the moves. So he'd get up there and he'd just do the moves and show them how to do it with his cigarette still in his hand. So
wow.
This hobster bat, dueler was the Fosse of hobster bat duelers.
Yes, this is Kurt.
Someone stole all your pudding.
What? Well, that's impossible.
What? Like someone stole your pudding. What?
Yeah.
What?
I've got to go right now.
That's right.
Hobster bat, away!
One thing I remember is there's a point where they're wandering in the cave.
Zontar, where are you?
Creating a list of things that we would rather find in the cave than Zontar.
Okay, so we've all submitted a list of things we'd rather find in this cave than Zontar. I will do the honors. An oven mitt, a half-empty bottle of Tide, some teaspoons, a carton of milk.
Like, I am 90% done with this thing. All the writers have gone home, and I'm just like, they're wandering in a cave.
Onions, peanuts, 2 cans of black olives, a kitten, SOS pads. Wait, Vicky, is this your grocery list?
Maybe.
A kitten?
I made it. My chuckle lines in there is the I want green chalk.
Alright, Dan's list just says green chalk.
I actually want to meet Zontar in a cave.
But why green chalk?
I want green chalk more.
No, I want to see Zontar, but I want green chalk more.
And now, we venture deeper into the uterus.
I think that part of the mystery too, because they ever walking looking for Zontar, and then like finding Zontar, and then running away from Zontar, and then heading back to Zontar. And so like they have the cave set, and they're like, just wander around, like go, everybody go left or everybody go right. That they were just like, let's just get as much footage as we can in here and pad the film a little bit. And then it's real obvious. And for us, we're like, okay, she's in Space Mountain or whatever. She was like in the one of the Disneyland rides that got lost, and we just like saying anything we could possibly think.
Everything works for Pete. I mean,
that's
no
right.
matter, in his head, anything goes.
Wow, everyone is finding the Batcave these days.
Butcher her name, Susan Bierman, and Pat Delaney, who were the wives of the scientists.
So can't you two talk about anything else?
I thought that they were really good. I enjoyed their acting for what they were given.
Honey, this is too big. I've got to tell someone.
It was the era they're in, right? So we made a lot of jokes about how they literally have no role in helping or doing, but I thought they were good in it.
Keith, you talk as if this thing were a personal friend of yours. Oh, yes. They're real chums.
The days when people made fun of me are over.
Said the loser.
Well, and one thing you got to remember, it was probably filmed in 2 or 3 days, really. And it was probably no time much for rehearsal. Take it in one take. If you said your lines, that's good. That's a go. And so if you put yourself into the place of those actors, it was pretty rushed.
Good. Good night, then. Good night, Doctor.
Good night, Phil.
Good night, Mel.
They're able to distinguish themselves from each other, right? It would have been easy to be so generic, like, which wife is that? But I felt like they did a good job in being able to distinguish. I'm sure it was a choice on their part.
Keith, our car broke down. Could you run me over to Phil's garage?
Well, I'm afraid that wouldn't do you any good.
I set fire to Theo's garage last Tuesday.
How do we differentiate each other? We're written the same, so how do we differentiate? And I thought they did a good job. Definitely added more credibility to the film than it deserved.
Oh, my feet. Just put some ice in a bucket for me.
And then fill that bucket with
What time
whiskey.
did your car stop running?
The wife of the villain, I thought she did a really good job of caring for him while not approving of what he was doing.
Zontar's on his way, darling. He drew the satellite to Venus, boarded, and returned it to orbit. All within an hour.
Keith never goes crazy at home.
He's inside that circling laboratory right now, waiting to come down to us.
Wait, we are at home.
If like fearful love rather than nagging or just being irate. Like she saw that he was going insane and what he was doing was wrong. So she stood by him, wanting him to pull out of it.
Yeah.
There's still a great deal I don't know about him.
What kind of toothpaste he uses, for instance, or what his favorite episode of MASH is.
Good night.
Some scenes in there were really long shots without no moving of the camera, changing of the camera, between Hagar and Houston.
All one angle.
All one angle and long
profile.
You know there's no proof of any other life on those planets.
Bad Directing Theater presents Two Men in Profile.
alien.
Ad Director Theater presents Two Men in Profile. And they're just like...
That's one of the lines I wanted to remember.
Intelligence watches us constantly. They don't feel we're ready to join in the great brotherhood of the countless galaxies. They'll do something, anything to keep us from communicating.
Well,
I'm here to ask you.
Your mom.
Yeah, he worked up right till the end. And if you ask him what his favorite film was, he said he hasn't made it yet because his favorite film is one he hasn't made yet. And he's always, whenever he had the opportunity to get on a set, he said that's when he really came alive. He thoroughly enjoyed it.
Nice guy.
Real nice guy. And he loved playing golf.
Can I borrow some flour?
31 flavors just created a 32nd flavor. The line is around the block.
I also like when they ask the Carol Burnett-looking lady to just call Washington. And she's like, all of Washington?
Get Washington again, Alice.
Anyone in Washington, Alice.
Washington? This is Alice?
Hello, Washington, this is Alice. You know, and so I like that joke a lot.
Kurt, I'm afraid something terrible will happen. Please don't go.
That's nice, dear.
Kurt?
Victoria and I thought this was the funniest joke, like in the writing room and in just everywhere we went, we would say this, and I don't know why, because it's not funny anymore. I don't. But we break in the recording where the general's on the phone.
Yes, Mr. Secretary.
Are you wearing your Spider-Man underoos?
Yes, sir.
I need you to buffer my Wookiee.
Yes, sir. It'll be done.
What?
Like, polish my Wookiee or something like that?
Polish my Wookiee.
Yeah. And then she just laughs. You know, she's like, what? Like, I love that.
I need you to buffer my Wookiee.
Yes, sir. It'll be done.
What?
Those crazy sentries or whatever, military guards that tried to do a comic relief.
Jeep don't work, so he walked. Funny seeing a general walk. He hardly knows how.
What's with the wacky music all of a sudden? It took me to the last time of viewing to realize that the pinup girl is what they're looking through their little viewfinder thing. Like, I didn't get it. I'm like, where's this pinup girl coming from?
Pinup Girl brought to you by Ed Wood.
Oh no, you programmed it in Vista.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
Oh, no.
That one surprised me. Yeah. It's like that was a vintage joke then, and now we have some years past.
Computer now programming the bird.
Oh no, they've programmed it with Vista.
And this is the first episode with the high school kids.
Don't you think that's a little weird?
But I never found out about the suit.
And making him the ditz was hilarious. That the two girls were like in charge and dragging him around. And
So nobody else smells soup?
Maybe they're mechanical chopsticks?
and I thought that they did really, really well for having zero notice. And then John and Donna coming, and they pull out all the stops. I mean, all the makeup they did, and John had that ray gun that he made and everything.
Seeing you like this reminds me of the time I spent in prison.
I know, dear.
Keith, or Richie, or whatever the hell his name is, and his wife are in the living room, and there's that shelving unit.
Things will be better soon.
I feel like there's something between
Very
us.
much better.
No, it's exactly that. I love that very much. Like they get it's a huge dramatic scene, and the husband and wife are there, and there's these shelves between them that are exactly like bars, and we riffed like 3 or 4 just great jokes right then.
Oh, Keith, please come out of it. Please come back to me.
Please, Keith, come back.
We never wanted to be cruel, and we never wanted to be disparaging. You know, we mock where it came in under its goal of what it wanted to do. But I never wanted to be mean. There were a couple times where I think we started getting mean in a couple of the shows, and we just cut those jokes because I never wanted to be mean. to me, this version of Zontar, the rabbit ears version, is my favorite. I love it. To me, it makes it watchable and funny, and I track better on what's happening and who Zontar is, like, because of what we're doing. You know, because we're asking, like, who's that guy and why is he in the room? And you're like, oh yeah. And when the general gets hit by the hopster bat and stuff like that, like, I just pay way more attention to it because we are engaged with it so much, you know. So I do think we improve it. And when Jeff shared that with me, I think it helped me understand our tone throughout, that we are caretakers.